Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. For today's video I have a few interesting stories that I have to tell from when I used to work in one of the UK's biggest supermarkets. If there is a massive echo in this room, I do apologise. If you've seen this channel for the past month or so, you'll know why there's an echo in this room. I can't do anything about it. But anyways, that's what's going to happen for today's video, and I do very much hope you enjoy. If you have any interesting work stories of your own to share with me, let me know in the comments section down below. We're gonna just get started. I actually have 3 different stories to tell today. I guess to give you guys some context before we thoroughly begin the stories, I worked in one of the small convenience stores, not a massive supermarket. The first story that I have for you today is kind of an interesting one. It was quite a serious one, and this situation could have easily have escalated. And the thing is, I want to start off this story by saying to you that when I very first started working in this particular supermarket, a security guard was only a temporary seasonal thing. He would only work via the Christmas period of the year, where really we needed a security guard continuously all year round, every single day and night, just to help us out with people who were causing trouble, unfortunately. This one particular shift that I was working, we actually did have a security guard, and it was at that point in time in my time of working there where we actually had a security guard the majority of the time, regardless of the time of year, because we complained about it to the store manager, and we finally got our security guard. I was working on the tills. I was serving customers in my particular shop. You used to have a screen above the tills, and that displays all of the security cameras. So if you do have a spare minute, I would always look up at the security cameras and just see what was going on around the shop and out back and all of that sort of stuff to make sure that everything was okay. And my eye gets drawn to this gentleman who had the hood up, and he was slowly walking around the aisles, and the security guard had also clocked this gentleman. It was me working on the tills and the security guard, and also there was another member of staff, and everyone seemed to be watching this gentleman. I was watching him, my co-worker was watching him, and the security guard was watching him as well. And all of a sudden he comes around to the booze aisle, and it just looked suspicious. You know, when you're not quite sure what is suspicious about somebody, it's just you're getting that vibe from them. That was this kind of situation. I had just very quickly turned to serve somebody, so I was actually busy at the time, but all I see out of the corner of my eye is him taking a bottle of wine from the shelf and basically putting it under his jacket. And this all happened so quick, but basically my co-worker was like, give me the booze. We know that you have just taken a bottle of wine and stuffed it under your jacket. Please, may we have it back? And at this point, the security guard was there as well. And all of a sudden, there was a massive kerfuffle going on between my co-worker and this suspicious gentleman who had stolen the bottle of wine, or was trying to steal the bottle of wine anyway. The co-worker was trying to get the bottle of wine back, and the gentleman was obviously trying to keep the bottle of wine for himself. So there was like tugging, to-ing and fro-in, but all of a sudden I see this gentleman who we believe was intoxicated anyways. I see this gentleman go like this with the bottle of wine, aiming it at my co-worker, and he threw this wine bottle, tried to smash this wine bottle in my co-worker's face. Luckily, my co-worker dodged it, and the wine shattered and it fell on the floor. And at this point, the security guard tackles this guy to the ground and basically sits on him and, you know, grabs his arms behind his back so that he couldn't move, he couldn't do anything. And the police were called. Wow, like if we didn't have that security guard there, I don't know what would have happened. But it was just a complete and utter mess. The second story that I have is one that's a little bit more light-hearted. This is a story of when one night I was working with two other people. One was my team leader, so my boss, running the shift for the night, and another one of my co-workers. My co-worker who was working this particular night and this particular team leader were the best of friends. Honest to God, like they were so close. They were like the gruesome twosome, and I used to actually nickname them the gruesome twosome all the time because they would just cause havoc. But basically, we used to have this older gentleman called Richard, who used to come into the shop sometimes multiple times during the day and during the night. And I saw him pretty much every shift, sometimes multiple times a shift. A lot of the staff members didn't like Richard because he was one of the people who would just sit and talk to you and try to distract you. Anyways, he was well known amongst every single staff member who worked in the store. This particular night, he had left his carrier bag full of stuff on the shop floor, and my team leader actually picked up this carrier bag and he glanced in it, and all of a sudden he calls me over. And he just pulls out this adult magazine, shall we just say. This was a porn magazine that Richard obviously kept in his carrier bag, and it was just the funniest thing ever. And honestly, this is probably one of my best memories working in the shop. We were joking around with this porn magazine, and like my team leader was like flicking through it. It was just, we were just taking the mick. When the night was finished and we were basically just getting ready to leave the shop and lock it up for the night, what they did, my co-worker and my team leader, opened this other worker's locker, put the porn magazine in there, shut it, locked it, and then the next morning I actually got a message from this particular co-worker saying like, why was there a porn mag in my locker? You know, it was like, this is mature humour for mature people, not. It was the most childish thing ever, but looking back, it kind of serves as quite a nice, good little memory. The final story, this is a relatively quick story just to end this video on, but one night I had forgotten to lock my locker when I was going in to start my shift. I think the bus that I would normally catch to get to work had run late, so I was running late, and I think I just shoved everything in there and just went off to start my shift. And anyways, long story short, I'd forgotten to lock my locker. I didn't notice until almost the end of my shift that I had forgotten to lock my locker. When my shift finished, I went and sat on the bus and all of a sudden I noticed that my alarm was on my phone. And I was like, well, I haven't set an alarm. And then I went in to check into the alarm section on my phone, and several alarms had been set. They were like 1 minute after each other, for like 4 o'clock in the morning, 1 minute past 4, 2 minutes past 4, all of that sort of stuff, and there were loads set. I know who it was, but they had just set several alarms on my phone, and luckily I noticed and I cancelled them all off so that I wouldn't wake up at like stupid o'clock in the morning after having a late night at work, you know. I don't regret working there. Obviously I don't work there now, but I think it gave me a good insight into working life. I think it gave me a good insight into having to deal with the public, because they can be really unpredictable. So, have you got any interesting stories from your workplace? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please leave this video a big thumbs up, and of course, if you are new here, make sure to click on that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I very much hope to see you in my next video.